RetroDaze.
Mid-July was always the absolute height of summer fun for me. Well, sure, the 4th of July was over, but that meant we were heading into the long stretch of hot summer weeks that felt like they'd never end. It was the time of year when we'd all pile into the old station wagon, a la the Griswolds' iconic Vacation, and head out on the open road in search of the biggest and best experiences the summer had to offer.
Today, for the third part of our epic summer series, we're trading in the station wagon for our time machine and traveling to one of the best summertime locations I can think of. Even though a week has passed since our awesome day of water sports in the Summer Series video Part 2, my fingers are still shriveled like little prunes, and I can't seem to knock this water out of my ear. But you know what? It was totally worth it. On the bright side, the heat is broken since we last gathered here in the past. I'm standing out on producer Tony's front porch in the quiet of an early summer morning. The weather has taken on that perfect balance of warm sun and cool breeze that I remember from the best days of my youth. The air smells of wildflowers and freshly cut grass. There's a hint of chlorine from the neighbor's pool and the undeniable notion that these kinds of summer days will be the ones we think about for the rest of our lives. And if that's the case, then we better make the most out of them. You open the door behind me and step out, munching on a wedge of watermelon. Between bites, you ask, "You ready to go?" I smile and take one more deep breath of morning dew and say, "You bet I am."
On the boardwalk, on the beach, in Santa Cruz, break loose. On the boardwalk, on the beach, in Santa Cruz, break loose.
There was a bit of debate whether to visit the boardwalk today or during our All Things Water video. But for me, there was always a distinct difference between going to the beach and going to the boardwalk. Going to the beach meant swimsuits, beach blankets, sand castles, and swimming. Going to the boardwalk meant food, arcades, shopping, games, and rides. Sure, we'd walk in the sand sometimes and maybe even dip our feet in the ocean, but that wasn't the point of the day. So we all unload from the time machine and take in the scene.
To explain, Bill Geist again when the air grows warm for many-colored bulbs and hurdy-gurdy music and games of chance and rides that take the breath away. To a boardwalk now, which might be a boardwalk whenever.
The cool ocean breeze brings with it the smell of salt water and coastal vegetation. We step onto the strange wood-slatted Main Street where one side of the road is all stores, restaurants, and Carnival Games, and the other side is the beach and ocean. It's still early, but already there's a steady stream of vacationers in their shorts and bathing suits meandering casually along the boardwalk and witnessing everything through sunglasses. Far down, clear on the other side of the stretch of beach, the roller coasters and big rides beckon, but the long walk there will be filled with fun, food, and flirting. Our first stop is the arcade because, of course it is. Being that our excursions to the past bring us to these wonderful mashups of the 70s, 80s, and 90s, we get the best of all nostalgic worlds in this sun-soaked boardwalk arcade. Inside, though, it's more akin to a nightclub with dark lighting, neon, and a cacophony of arcade music and sounds. There are some scattered crane machines and coin pushers, but most of the floor space is dedicated to a variety of arcade cabinets, pinball machines, and one entire wall lined with skee-ball machines. I beeline it to Pac-Man and say, back in 2025, it's actually Pac-Man's 45th anniversary. They're doing everything from Pac-Man-themed Krispy Kreme donuts to a big anniversary event. I plunk a quarter into the machine and smile at the classic quarter accepted sound, then hit start to hear that wonderful theme song. The rest of the gang nod politely before racing off to other parts of the arcade. Producer Tony sets up camp at a coin pusher, Alyssa tries her luck at a crane machine, and writer Tony, he enjoys a rousing game of Twilight Zone pinball. Meanwhile, you seem to bounce between every possible option. I peer over the Pac-Man arcade machine to spot you killing genetically modified zombie soldiers and aliens in Area 51 before moving over to Outrun and then a few games of Street Fighter 2. As much as I'd like to spend the whole day here, I round everyone up after an hour and redeem whatever tickets we have for army men with parachutes, Smarties, a couple of bouncy balls, and what is it called? A popper? You know, the little rubber half sphere that would pop up after you turned them inside out. I love those things. But with our prizes in hand, it's time to move on. I say, let's get some food. I'm starved. Now, I don't know about you, but one of the first foods I think of on the boardwalk are the iconic Boardwalk fries. And if we're doing Boardwalk fries, I think we have to make them Thrashers in Ocean City, Maryland. Thrashers has been an institution since 1929 when J.T. Thrasher opened the first concession stand in Ocean City, Maryland, specializing solely in fresh-cut French fries fried in peanut oil. Most of this goes without saying because the long line of people waiting for their tubs of fries speaks for itself. And after my long wait, I look around the side counter for ketchup, but there's none in sight. I quickly realized that part of the Thrashers tradition is to dress the fries with apple cider vinegar, not malt vinegar like other boardwalk establishments, and salt, which I do liberally before chomping down on a perfect balance between crispy and soft. This deep-fried delicacy is on my mind from the moment I hit the boardwalk until I finally had those crispy fries in my hands, and long after. Speak for yourself, writer Tony says. What, you're telling me you don't like fries? He laughs and waves the question away like a pesky fly. Of course I do, but that wasn't the first thing on my mind like you. For me, it was all about Nathan's hot dogs.
One of the biggest attractions at Coney Island first appeared back in 1916. And from the very beginning, people got a kick out of them because the juicy beef goodness of Nathan's Franks was laced with secret spices that gave them a special snap. Today, nothing has changed. So for that authentic, old-time Coney Island taste, hello, my Coney Isle, original Coney Isle. Hello, my Nathan's famous Franks.
Somehow, even though we're decidedly not in Coney Island, Nathan's appears right next to Boardwalk Fries, as if transported from another time and place. Tony cues up and says, "Don't let anyone fool you. Those store-bought Nathan's dogs are nothing like the real thing, unless you can find the ones that say the original Coney Island natural casing beef frankfurters right on the package." Most people will also try to tell you that all of the Nathan's famous locations serve the same hot dog, and that's probably true. But listen, there's something about the sea air and atmosphere that makes the Coney Island dog superior in every way. Facts. Well, after trying one with a side of onion rings, I'm inclined to agree. To wash things down, we opt for a quick walk down to the fresh squeezed lemonade stand. Once we're done with our lemonade, clearly we need to cool down even further with a staple of Boardwalk starting in the late 80s and early 90s, Dippin' Dots. I don't know if it's because of their unique form factor or because they're often referred to as ice cream of the future, but they were a must-have for all kids by the 90s. There's still so much food on my must-have list, like pepperoni pizza, sausage, pepper, and onion sandwiches, Coors frozen custard, funnel cakes, Johnson's popcorn in New Jersey, or Fisher's in Maryland, saltwater taffy, and all kinds of seafood. But sadly, we can't spend the whole day just eating, and the Carnival Games are calling my name. The whole RetroDaze team is walking a bit slower now as the heat and copious amount of food weighs us down. But it doesn't stop us, and eventually we reach some of my favorite Carnival Games. I was always warned that these types of skill games could be rigged against you, but that never stopped me from trying to win the biggest and best stuffed toys on display. First up are a couple of rounds of hoops. Nothing to it really, except these baskets are ovular and a bit harder to sink. After a couple of misses, I finally hit one directly and get to choose one small prize. I pick a bootleg-looking Garfield plush. We pass a couple of games without playing, like the wheel, which is basically just a gamble, though I wouldn't mind winning some of the candy and trading cards they have on display. Instead, though, we hit the balloon pop stand and throw some darts for a bit. We hit enough to get a medium prize, this time a stuffed seagull. Alyssa says, okay, we have to play one of my absolute favorites, plus we can all compete against each other. She points further down the boardwalk at a fire truck water race game that is controlled by mounted water pistols. Depending upon the boardwalk, they had similar games with race cars or the Kentucky Derby that was controlled by rolling balls into holes. Producer Tony says, a classic, I'm in. We run down to the game and each take a stool. The game starts and the attendant becomes the race announcer, calling out the 3 leads, in this case, Ryder Tony in first, followed by Alyssa, and then me. But wait, Alyssa takes the lead. Ryder Tony misaligns his water stream and falls back behind the whole team. Producer Tony makes a run, but it's Alyssa for the win. She leaps up and pumps her fist in the air, shouting, "Booyah, baby!" then collects a stuffed Snoopy as her prize. We play a few more games as we walk, like the strength tester, fishbowl toss, and clowning around, but are now inexorably headed for the rides as the sun begins to dip lower in the sky. On the way there, we spot the Zoltar Speaks machine right out of the movie Big, but we flip at the bird. No way, no how are we making the same mistake Josh Baskin makes. We'll be big far sooner than we'd like as it is. Before we could even make it all the way to the main amusement park area, Ryder Tony stops us at the local dark ride. He grins like a devil and says, "There's no way I'm skipping Trimper's Haunted House. This is a mainstay of the Ocean City Boardwalk since 1964. Luckily, this is the post-1988 version after it was expanded into 2 stories. "Oh, come on," Producer Tony says. "Isn't this just a cart ride with lame animatronic jump scares?" Ryder Tony stares at Producer Tony in a way that suggests there was little room for debate on the subject. Okay, Producer Tony says. "Cut it out with the stink eye, you're creeping me out." "Just for that," Ryder Tony replies, "we're hitting every single one of these dark rides that aren't even supposed to exist in the same place." We gaze down the strip of Boardwalk and marvel at the sight of Castle Dracula from Wildwood, New Jersey, before its destruction by arson in 2002, and Haunted Castle from Santa Cruz, previously Treasure Island, Pirates Cove, and Haunted House, all lined up back to back. After far too many rides on the herky-jerky carts and boats, taking us through strobing effects and blacklight corridors lined with bats, zombies, and ghosts, we walk jarringly into the amusement park. Here are the roller coasters, log flumes, spinners, and launchers that we've been waiting for. Alyssa's eyes light up as she scans the offerings. She says, "The Boardwalk was all about the rides for me. Giant Dipper, Tsunami, Logger's Revenge, and Hurricane. So many to choose from, and so little time." The whole place smells of cotton candy, popcorn, and fried foods riding the salty wave of ocean air. It's intoxicating, and we let that breeze carry us from ride to ride. There's the Cyclone and the Wonder Wheel from Coney Island. And here we spot the Tilt-A-Whirl, spinning the siblings of our very own time machine, the Thunder Road Mach 2. There are merry-go-rounds that still have the brass ring game, swinging pirate ships, and too many roller coasters to choose from. Though it seems Alyssa has no trouble choosing, as she says, "We're riding the Hurricane first." We wait in a short line before being ushered into the cars, and of course, we take the front 3. The long, slow climb of the first hill is tense as we wait for that inevitable drop. "Here it comes," Alyssa says as we crest the hill. The coaster is exhilarating, and we continue to stumble from ride to ride through the evening amusement park, lit by excitement and carnival atmosphere. Each ride takes us closer to a younger version of ourselves as we remember the glee and happiness of thrill rides. The best of them carry us so high into the air that we can glimpse the beach and ocean beyond before being plunged back into a heart-stopping facsimile of death. And every second of it is pure summertime bliss.
Even a full day at the Boardwalk just never seemed like enough time to do everything you had planned. The best summers were the ones where you'd visit for a whole weekend, or if you were lucky, even longer. The Boardwalk then would become like a second home, although even harder to leave when the time came. And as for those extra lucky folks, maybe you even lived nearby, so your entire summer was a Boardwalk excursion. I suppose there was the annoyance of tourists, but I think it's a trade-off a younger version of me would have made willingly. Of course, rather than just speculate, why don't you tell me? What are your memories of the Boardwalk? What were your favorite rides, games, and food? You know, I'd love to hear about it down in the comments. And if you enjoy our content, please consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and maybe even activating that ubiquitous notification bell, because it really does make a huge difference. Let's meet again next week to celebrate yesteryear, right here on RetroDaze.
Clicky clicky.